so symbolism would be more on the, indeed, it would be more on the intuitive side, where you would have, you grasp things, you see that. Usually you can experience symbolism in the moment where you see something, in its multiplicity, and then the unity of it jumps in your face. I always use the example of, you meet someone you haven't seen for a very long time, and then you're talking with them, but you don't know who they are right away, and all of a sudden you recognize them. All of a sudden the face of that person will change in your perception. They'll actually change. It'll change from the face of a stranger to the face of a person you know. And that's the experience of symbolism. It's the experience of seeing a pattern in multiplicity and it coming together. So it feels like insight. It feels like you have insight into the world when you experience that kind of symbolic pattern.
And I've also heard you talk about symbols being participatory, or you need to participate into the symbol. Can you detail that a little more into how can I actually participate into this?
Because, okay, so the notion, the idea is that symbolism, or the way that I talk about symbolism, is really just the way reality presents itself to you. That is, we tend to think, like you talked about semiotics, we tend to think of interpretation, where you have a text and then you're outside the text and you're interpreting the text and you're applying interpretation rules to the text. Now, symbolism is complicated, is not complicated, it's more holistic in the sense that you are made of the same pattern as the text you're interpreting, that you are not outside of the pattern, you're inside the pattern. And so you have to be careful, to think that you're just this strange objective observer that's outside of space and time and that is just looking at reality. Symbolism understands that you are a part of the world, and that there's nothing wrong with recognizing the anthropic shape of the world. That is, that the world has the shape of man, that the universe presents itself through consciousness, through a human experience, and that it has the shape of man. Until now, what we've been told is that subjective, right? That you have a subjective experience, but that's the wrong way of looking at it. It's not subjective. It's personal in the sense that you have to experience the world through consciousness, but it's not subjective. It can be very much objective, because we experience the same things in very similar manners, right? The fact that there are patterns which manifest themselves at different scales of reality, the fact that it's not like a one-on-one rule, but most people will react the same to a burn. That's a universal reality. It's not subjective, it's not subjective in the sense of relative. It's objective, but it's experienced personally. And so that's what I mean by you have to participate. You have to be careful not to think that you're an outside observer looking at the world, but that your story is symbolic. And you have to engage your story, your personal narrative in terms of you as a person, but you also have to engage it within a community and then within a larger cosmic story as well. You are a part of the story. And so that's what I mean. But when I talk about how you have to participate,